Well, I guess you could kind of call Derek and I the innovators of the group. Derek's more so the guy who knows how to get it done. I'm just the guy that kind of tries to think up the stupid idea. Large lad. Some lessons you gotta learn the hard way.
We get up every day just thinking what we can do to improve the deer herd, and I mean we've come up with some,
more money on.
Yeah, ain't afraid to spend some money on some ideas, but.
Wildlife management is as much an art as it is a science. Days of preparation are about to pay off.
That's one of the biggest deer I've ever killed in my life. And we're in Alabama.
That look says it all. If you manage it right, they will respond to it.
As hard as it is for me to say it, it's over. It's January. We've come down to the last few days of season, and we're still seeing a lot of deer, but you know, we start to really look at what's to come, because our new planning year, our annual plan of work starts now, and we're trying to decide what worked best and what didn't work best. Welcome to Pennington Trophy Radishes, home of the giant radish, home of the compaction killer, and protein galore. If there's one thing I'm most impressed with, it is these things. Look at these. I mean, if you think about it, that thing came all the way up through the soil, broke up the compaction, and we've got them everywhere. Look at all these little, look at all of them. Here we've got a real healthy turnip. It's already been nipped off by a deer, and they're starting to feed on it a little bit more. Had a pretty aggressive ice storm that came through here last night, and it's amazing. These leaves are just, they fall apart in your hands, but really have seen a lot of deer in the plots this year. Most of all, I'm really impressed with my food plots this year, just because we're actually going to hold deer, and we're going to be able to find some sheds and learn more about them. We talk about these winter hardy plants and finding things that work best for you in terms of lasting year round. Clover has been our save all. They're used to eating it all year. They eat it in the spring, through the summer, and then back in the winter. And if you can find something such as Durana that'll stay this green and winter hardy, and your deer are used to eating it, it's a win-win situation. But what we try to do is split all of our food plots up into little sections here. We've got clover, we've got our deer greens, and we got our trophy radishes, some feeding frenzy, because a deer is going to go through a field and he's going to nibble on every little thing. He's never going to stay in just one place. So the longer you keep him in the field, the better the chance you have of killing him. We live for these deer. I mean, we do nothing but live, eat, and breathe whitetails after we start getting pictures of them. And there's been a lot of big bucks that we've seen this year, but one that comes to mind is a buck called It's a Boy, and we don't have a better name for him. For a buck that size, you ought to have a little more impressive name, but the story behind that's kind of weird. A buddy's wife saw some footage of a deer, and she saw it was a buck, and she's not, you know, she's been around hunting, but she wasn't, you know, she doesn't talk the lingo we do, and she said, "Oh, it's a boy." And ever since then, it's kind of just stuck. With a big buck, we call it It's a Boy.
This is day number 7 on this buck we're after. But he was about 200 yards away the whole night, and then the neighbor decided to start calling coyotes, and him and the 4 deer he were with ran off. And then 10 minutes later, the 4 deer he was with walked 30 yards by me, and he wasn't with them. So 2.5 weeks straight that I couldn't get killed, and he kind of disappeared. And you know, maybe we'll see him again, still have his antlers. I mean, it's that time of year where they're dropping antlers left and right now.
Each year we have a goal set in mind, and this year you know, we raised the bar from 4.5-year-old to 5.5-year-old, and one deer in specific that was so hard for us to pass up was a buck we call split ear. I had him less than 20 yards on several different occasions. He'd come out and feed right in front of me, and every time he'd walked out, my heart would skip a beat until I realized it was him. And he's 3.5, and he looks like he should be 6.5 with his rack. It just doesn't match. He's an 8-pointer that's just, best way to describe it is he just blew up. I had opportunities to take him, Derek's had opportunities to take him, both on film, and as long as he stays alive for 2 more years, we're going to have something real special on this farm. Up here we got a Durana clover plot, called the horseshoe plot, and what the heck is that? Deer hair. Quite a bit of it, so let's see if we can find anything else around here. It's got blood on it. This is the type of stuff I don't particularly like running into. Well, either he bedded down here or, oh, there it is. Laying down there. You've got to be kidding me. Well, not a doe. Buck lost his antlers, and judging by the way these look, his teeth are super wore. I mean, you run your fingers across it, I mean, it's flat. And I guess he's either 5 or 6.5-year-old deer, just the type of deer we're after. So my mind's just spinning, wondering who it might be. His pedicles are still bloody, they're not scabbed over. So his antlers can't be super far away, but I don't know.
You know, you hate to lose a deer anytime, and especially one like that one. Ross and Derek have been seeing a mature buck, and just looking at the footage that Casey showed me, if you look at these 2 teeth, these 2 jaws right here, this is a 5.5 and that's a 6.5, and you go to that 4th tooth and it starts dishing out, that deer's at least 5.5. And then you come here and it's dished out and it start dishing on the next tooth, on tooth number 5. Boy, I'm thinking it's at least a 5-year-old, probably a 6-year-old, and you hate to see that happen. And it doesn't matter how good a manager you are, you do everything right, never forget, Mother Nature makes a final call.
It's going to be hard to tell until possibly next year.
It's going to be hard to stomach if we find out it's him.
Yeah, if it's him, he's an absolute giant, and you know, if it is him, it's just an absolute shame.
Y'all, we're going to be leaving the bone-chilling temperatures of Illinois with Ross, coming to my home state, getting some of that fine January 60 to 70 degree weather. We'll see if we can't knock out a few deer. So we'll see you next week right here in Alabama.
place I go, tucked back in the pines, where a green field grows, my own little paradise. I'm thankful for this land and the life that it provides. See, the measure of a man is what he leaves behind. Oh, oh, take what you need and pass it on down. Oh, oh, give a little back to this sacred ground.
Sometimes you just got to get on old Chucky.
Your own sacred
Let him loosen up a little bit.
I am what I am. If you sit me down, I'm gonna talk like this. Kid trails in pine plantations, nothing can be better.
That'd have been good if he hadn't have just bulldozed the camera.